بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We'll continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Criterion of Action, Mizan Amal. And we have reached the virtue of temperance, the subdivisions of the virtue of temperance, and its corresponding vices. بيان ما يندرج تحت فضيلة العفة ورذيلتها. He said, the virtues of temperance are shame, shyness, lenience, patience, generosity, sound evaluation, geniality, gentleness, orderliness, good comportment, contentment, sobriety, piety, good humor, tolerance, righteous indignation, and amiability. Since the Prophet ﷺ was described as having that virtue of haya, it cannot be shame, and it is basically Islam itself has been described as having that distinguishing attribute, because you could shame someone, and this is not really the virtue. And this is an important issue. The problem is that not every single word could be translated. SubhanAllah. Just think, in English, lion and lioness, they have the same, practically, almost the same. Lion, lioness. In Arabic, the lion is Asad, the lioness is Labu'a. It's not the same root. And the lion has some almost 240 names in Arabic. And this is really, I don't think that English can absorb, the listener, once we say 240 names approximately in Arabic for the lion. So I'll just say that haya must be something a little bit more nuanced, since it is كان أشد حياء صلى الله عليه وسلم. Okay, so shy, to be shy, okay, shame is the middle point between insolence and effeminacy. It has been defined as a kind of pain that afflicts the soul when it is alarmed. It is alarmed of its own deficiency. It has also been called a man's fear of his own shortcoming in the eyes of one who is superior to him. Others still define it as the bashfulness that is felt when venturing upon bad deeds, and the soul's apprehension about anything for which it would rightly be blamed. In some, it is used to denote the soul's contraction from that which is wrong, and also to denote the contraction a person feels towards something he merely feels is wrong. The latter is confined to children and women, and is blameworthy for intelligent men. The former is a beautiful trait in any person. The meaning of the hadith: Allah would be ashamed to punish a man who becomes gray-haired while Muslim, is that he will not punish him. This is not a hadith, and cannot be a hadith. لا يصح. If we have two other traditions that are mentioned here. The other two have the degree of Hasan, good. But remember that we have other traditions about shyness, if you will, about haya. For example, الإيمان بضع وسبعون شعبة بضع. So faith is some 70 branches, a little bit more. 73, they have the issue here, the highest branches, La ilaha illallah, and the lowest of which, إماطة الأذى عن الطريق, removing obstacles from the path of people. And I take it as we usually think about removing a stone, removing a branch, a piece of wood. Maybe today we talk about removing a tire, whatever is on the path of people. But I do understand that. My understanding also is that cutting red tape, bureaucracy is bureaucracy unnecessarily is inflated. I have been working at more than one university, and some universities, good schools, they simplify the red tape, and some other schools in the graduate programs, whenever a student faces an issue, rather than simply solving that issue for that student, they create a new form that all students need to fill. And by the end of the day, after a few years, they had, quite a large number of forms for the students to fill. That's not so. إماطة الأذى عن طريق, and this is now the segment, the phrase that we are after. والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. It is part of faith. And another tradition, the Prophet ﷺ passed by a man, and in one of the texts of the hadith, a man from amongst the Ansar. مر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم برجل من الأنصار يعظ أخاه في الحياء. He was advising his brother about shyness, meaning he was telling his brother, do not be shy. And the Prophet ﷺ told this man, دعه فإن الحياء من الإيمان. Leave him in that state of shyness. Okay, for shyness is part of faith. And we can see how when people do not have, they are not shy anymore, they go literally nude, and not only on the beaches. They have special, at certain museums in Europe, they have special hours for visitors who would like to visit the museum in that natural, but definitely state of being. It's when people are not, they don't really they behave like animals. That's really what it is. When Imam Ghazali said that the letter is confined to children and women, and is blameworthy for intelligent men, al-uqala, as if basically Al-Uqala do not include women. There are, obviously, by definition, Al-Uqala, not all men are. Shyness is meekness of soul caused by excessive shame. It is praiseworthy only in children and women, not men. Here he is talking about khajal. The Prophet ﷺ praised the women of the Ansar that their haya did not prevent them from seeking knowledge about fiqh, about religion. A person should not feel ashamed before something he deems in his soul to be great. A person should only feel ashamed before something he deems in his soul to be great. If he feels ashamed before other people, it can only be because he considers his own soul to be lower than them. If someone does not feel ashamed before Allah, it is because he is unaware of His majesty, of Allah's majesty. Thus the Prophet ﷺ said, be properly ashamed before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. استحي من الله حق الحياء, Hadith Hasan. And it has another part. In one tradition, the companions responded by saying that they do have that state, be properly ashamed before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ explained that what he meant is that they should preserve, protect the intellect, really the head, but it's what's in the head and what it has absorbed, what the head is, what the brain, what the intellect is understands rightly. So one might add, فَلْيَحْفَظْ رَأْسَهُ وَمَا وَعَى. And he also continued by saying, and she should protect the abdomen and what contains, like, do not allow that which is bad to infiltrate your intellect. Do not feed your stomach that which is haram. And he said that he should remember وَلْيَذْكُرُ الْمَوْتَ وَالْبِلَى. He should remember death and this state of his body and thereafter, and ultimately, and he who wants the akhirah should abandon the zina, the adornment of this life. If you do that, then definitely you have reached the true sense of haya in relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Al-Ghazali follows this hadith by mentioning the following verse. Furthermore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, does he not know that Allah sees? أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. So, of course, if you are aware, if one of us is aware, conscientious, and of course it means that the heart does respond properly, because some people might be aware and they don't care. The heart has been hardened. If a person feels in his soul that Allah can see him, he will certainly feel shame. If he is religious and reverent, the Prophet ﷺ said, the one who has no shame has no faith. Okay. Yeah. Because shame is the first portent of the intellect, while faith is its final level. So how can the final level be attained by one who has not gone beyond the first? And the hadith here, لكل دين خلق وخلق الإسلام الحياء من لا حياء له لا دين له. Really, it goes even he who has no shame, no shyness, no shame, then there is no faith, there is no religion. There is no religion. لا إيمان لا دين. Yes, lenience, forgo part of what one is owed by right, willingly and happily. Lenience. It is the midpoint between belligerence and negligence. Generosity is the midpoint between parsimony and prodigality. It means to give easily and refrain from acquiring things underhandedly. Sound evaluation means equilibrium in expenditure, avoiding the extremes of parsimony and prodigality. So generosity is the midpoint between parsimony and prodigality. It means to give easily and refrain from acquiring things underhandedly. Sound evaluation means equilibrium in expenditure, avoiding extremes of parsimony and prodigality. Gentleness means the sound disposition of the appetitive, the American version, appetitive, the English version, the appetitive soul with regards to its desire for its objects. Orderliness means a state of the soul that inspires it to put the expenditures it evaluates in proper order so that they are appropriate to one another. Good comportment means love for whatever beautiful attire is necessary without straying into self indulgence. It is well known, for example, that Imam Malik, before rahimahullah, before narrating the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, before teaching people, he would basically wear his best out of respect for the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, like being in a amongst the contemporary scholars who do wear nicely is Sheikh Said al-Kamri, for example. A man was brought before Sayyida Aisha radiallahu anha, and he was unkempt. She said, Uff, shaitan akhrijuh. So this is, I mean, I can, it's sometimes it's even a problem. It does cause a problem in amongst married. We used to use the word couple without having to shed more light between even the word husband and wife. Yes, it could cause a problem. So one should tend to this without indulgence. Sobriety means the soul's calm reception of whatever beautiful pleasures it attains. Piety is the middle point between ostentation and iniquity. It means to beautify the soul with righteous, virtuous deeds in pursuit of the perfection of soul and nearness to Allah, without ostentation and pretension. Good humor means polite wittiness, without obscenity or dishonesty. It is the middle point between extremes of seriousness and tomfoolery. Amiability is the middle point between aloofness, which is excessive prudishness, and tomfoolery. It means to be aware of the social classes of one's acquaintances, honor regular moments of social intimacy, and extend to each person the degree of familiarity and friendliness the situation demands. In fact, man is in need of relaxation to refresh his heart, and therefore he cannot do without some kind of socialization. Humor is desirable as long as it does not rise to the level of tomfoolery. And it is not to be and it is to be confined to the degree that removes man from isolation and the ways of brutish folk, without straying into the idiotic clownishness of the jester. The nature of this is depicted in the traditional narrations of the humor in which the Messenger of Allah and his companions engaged. We need not go into it at length here. We have uh, we have cases in which the Prophet ﷺ, showed us that sometimes you have that beautiful moment of this. So this kind of humor, but you don't say anything wrong. You don't lie in order to be funny, and you don't make it a career, really. You don't also make it a habit. Uh, so there are those who would simply, the moment they show up, they'll tell you, "Do you know the very the latest joke?" So you associate. There's no way you are going to associate their presence with joking. That's not so. You can simply, uh, especially within the family, don't make it like a continuously serious atmosphere. Bring joy to the family. Tolerance is the middle point between irritability and so tolerance is the middle point between irritability and sycophancy. It means to refrain from disputing with and criticizing one's fellows regarding conventional matters for the sake of enjoying society. Righteous indignation is the middle point between envy and malice. It means to be aggrieved when good fortune comes to undeserving people or when evil befalls undeserving people. The subdivisions of the two vices that correspond to temperance, which are greed and listlessness, are as follows: insolence, effeminacy. We are We have a couple of pages to read, still under the this title. We'll try to finish them, inshallah. So the subdivisions of the two vices that correspond to temperance, which are greed and listlessness, are as follows: insolence, effeminacy; prodigality, parsimony, ostentation; iniquity, dourness, buffoonery; frivolity, prudishness, irritability; sycophancy, envy, and malice. Insolence is the soul's insistence on indulging in wrongdoing without paying heed to censure. Effeminacy is a state that overcomes the soul because of excessive shame, so that the soul is contracted and will not expand with word or deed. Prodigality means spending money on unnecessary things at unnecessary times or in unnecessary quantities. I think the problem of self fulfillment today in this respect, like people think that the highest aim is to continue buying stuff simply, and they'll have a kick out of it. Literally, they will have probably a higher level of dopamine for a while, and to get the same uh, to get the same uh, level of dopamine, they have to go back and again and again. So it becomes addiction, really. Parsimony means refusing to spend what ought to be spent. It is caused by stinginess, covetousness, or meanness. Each of these three has its own level. The stingy man is the one who is excessively cheap and reluctant to spend because he fears that poverty will drive him to mendicancy and humiliation before his enemies. Upon closer examination, one finds that the cause of stinginess is cowardice. In fact, subhanallah, generosity and courage go hand in hand, and stinginess and cowardice they go hand in hand. And the generous and the courageous is most probably, inshallah, is uh, closer to Islam if he or she is non-Muslim. The generous is closer to Islam to become Muslim. The covetous man is the one who, in addition to his stinginess, also detests to see others living in comfort and desires that they be driven to a position of neediness before him, so that he may enjoy eminence above them. This results from a certain kind of ignorance. The mean man is the one who, in addition to being stingy and covetous, will readily disgrace himself in pursuit of some small gain. This is caused by a certain kind of business. Examples of such men include the thief and the cuckold. Ostentation means imitating a person of virtuous deeds in order to gain reputation and fame. Iniquity means the conscious and open rejection of the adornment of the soul with virtuous deeds in favor of the opposite. Dourness is excessive seriousness, buffoonery is excessive joking, frivolity is excessive delight in company and socializing, irritability is conflicting with one's fellows in social situations, sycophancy is causing up to one's companions without realizing how ridiculous this makes one appear. Envy is to be aggrieved at good fortune that befalls an acquaintance who deserves it. Malice is to delight in evil that befalls an acquaintance who does not deserve it. Justice is the sum of all virtues. Injustice is the sum of all vices. For each of these character traits, there are traditional reports that enjoin the virtuous ones and discourage the vices. We shall not extend the book by citing them, but they may be found in the works of the conduct of the Prophet ﷺ and other such books. The aim here is to make clear that man, because of these three faculties, will always be characterized by these traits, each of which have two extremes and a middle point. Throughout all this, he is commanded to seek the middle way, the straight path between the extremes of excess and deficiency. If he attains this, he will be perfected in a way that takes him near Allah. Near in the sense of level, not spatiality, space, time, and space. Of course, ليس كمثله شيء, so it can never be, measured in a distance. It's a state. It's a state. In the same sense as the angels are near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah possesses absolute glory and total perfection, and every existent yearns for whatever perfection is possible for it, for that is it, for that is its purpose. If it attains it, it joins to the plane of the world above it. If it is deprived of it, it falls into the pit that yawns below it. Thus, man is suspended between attaining perfection, such that in nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he joins the plane of the angels, wherein lies his happiness, or venturing towards what he has in common with the beasts, namely the vices of appetite and irascibility, such that he falls down to the level of the beasts and into eternal ruin. In the Quran, بل هم أضل, they are even worse than the beast, wherein lies his damnation. He is like a fine horse, whose perfection lies in the strength of its gallop, but if it is unable to achieve this, it falls to the level of those beneath it, and is used for load bearing or meat. The level of perfection for man with regard to character traits and to knowledge are beyond count. This is why the degrees of mankind will differ in the hereafter, just as they do in the here below, with regard to creation and character, wealth and comfort, and all other states. So, inshallah, we will deal with the uh, instigators and inhibitors of the pursuit of good things, inshallah, tomorrow. بيان البواعث على تحري الخيرات والصوارف عنها. Until then, inshallah, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.